Vaping lesson number 2. Objectives: examine why vaping is not a safe alternative to smoking. And secondly, identify 2 strategies that the tobacco industry uses to attract new users. Go ahead and open up your journal and answer the 2 questions. What do you know about the vaping industry, and do you believe that vaping is a safe alternative to smoking cigarettes? Why or why not? And the title of this presentation is Pod-Based Systems: the tobacco industry's effort at reinventing the cigarette. So the next slide is the anatomy of a pod-based system. So the first part there is the cartridge, and that is um, the device, the part of the device that is rechargeable, and then the cartridge part, and that is where it, especially in the Juul, where it is packed with the 41.3 milligrams of nicotine. I'm not sure if you knew that. That is equivalent to 1.5 to almost 2 packs of cigarettes, where the fixed pod contains almost twice that as much, almost nearly 4 packs of cigarettes. You got a visual on that here in a little bit. That's a little bit concerning because most teens maybe not know that, and really teen brains are pretty much defensive to that amount of nicotine, especially if they're starting out on vaping as opposed to starting with cigarettes. That's sort of the anatomy of what it looks like. The second thing to consider is those are usually plastic, and they use and are not biodegradable, and they end up being sort of a hazard to the environment as well. So here's a little comparison between different sorts of vaping paraphernalia or apparatus. There's 2 different types. One is called a salt-based system, and one is called a free-based nicotine system. And there's a really important comparison for people to understand like this one. One is 41 or to 68 milligrams of nicotine, and one is 25. But the important piece is what you'll see in the next slide. One is not made to be refilled, so that means that it is put in the garbage and it becomes waste. But it, what it's made of becomes waste that is ends up in a landfill somewhere. Secondly, if it's heated, which has to be heated to be vaporized and to be smoked, that is put in a person's mouth, and there are not even studies on whether or not when that product is heated, if it puts off any carcinogens in that situation. And the other one has a refillable tank, which the liquid. But let's look at the difference between the salt-based nicotine and the free-based nicotine. Because there was some studies done by the tobacco industry when they came up with these products. Oops, but that's coming up later. So this is a little bit mind-blowing, actually. So there's our one pack of cigarettes is 20 milligrams of nicotine or 20 cigarettes. That's what it looks like. One jewel pod is approximately equivalent to twice that amount. And you can see a visual there, actually plus one. So that's almost 2 packs of cigarettes in one jewel pod. And how much is in a puff bar? 50 milligrams of cigarettes. You want to see what that would look like in an ashtray. And you can have it. And then lastly, a Soren pod is 90 milligrams of nicotine, which is equivalent to 90 cigarettes. That's a lot of nicotine. It's a pretty defenseless amount for someone who has not smoked before and is starting out with a vaping product that might believe that vaping is a safer alternative to smoking cigarettes. So here's the difference that we want people to be aware of with salt-based nicotine versus free-based nicotine. And it's no accident. This is based on Juuls mimicking what R.J. Reynolds, and R.J. Reynolds is the second richest tobacco industry in the United States. They were mimicking the big boys' playbooks, they like to say in the industry, of salt additives that were put in cigarettes in the industry in the late I want to say 70s or maybe early 60s. When there is salt additives, it allows more frequent use because there's no throat hit. The throat hit to someone who doesn't smoke is irritating and painful, and it's just kind of like that. And it is eliminated because of the salt additives. In a free-based system, tobacco users are sort of used to that throat hit, and because of the addiction, they parallel that feeling. They look forward to it. They look forward to the feeling because it reminds them of something pleasurable that they will experience when they have that hit of nicotine. So intentionally, the salt was added to the pod-based systems that are salt so that the user would bypass the uncomfortable feeling of the throat hit. And that is no accident. In the Stanford study that did this, they used the analogy, it would be like opening a can of Coke and pouring straight sugar down your throat and choking on the sugar. That is what it would be like to a user that didn't have the type of the product in it that removed the throat hit. Something to consider, the manipulation that is used to attract new users. So